So apologies for this. The ending of the lecture got cropped out somehow. So here's the ending. There isn't that much left anyway, but there's some useful stuff at the end about essay structure. So as I was saying, the answer to this objection to Kantian ethics. Remember, the objection says that Kantian ethics is too demanding because we are naturally selfish, and it's very hard to act selflessly all the time. So the second answer, we've already looked at the first one. The second possible answer to this objection is that Kant doesn't actually say that we need to be selfless all the time, that we can't ever act in our own self-interest. He just says that we can't only act in our own self-interest. If we only act in our own self-interest, then we are failing to fulfill our duty towards others, our duty to treat them as ends in themselves, not just as means to ends. Right? So a good answer, I think, to this is to say, well, this misunderstands what Kant's point is. Kant doesn't say you have to be selfless all the time. He says you can't just be self-interested. You also have to be selfless in moral action. Okay? So that's it for objections to Kant. So, as promised, a bit of advice on essay structure. I've said this repeatedly throughout the lecture, but I'll say it again because it's really important. In an essay about Kant, it really, really helps to talk about other theories. You aren't expected to be an expert on Kant and to know the ins and outs of Kant. You are expected to have a bit of a systemic view of ethics, a synoptic approach to the subject. You're expected to be able to understand the connections between the different parts of the course, and in this case, between the different ethical theories. So that means being able to explain other ethical theories, being able to show how they're different to Kant and how they're similar to Kant, and lastly, but by no means least, being able to show whether Kant is better than those other theories, or whether Kant is worse than those other theories. Now, depending on whether or not you support Kant, that's your choice. You can choose whether you want to be on Kant's side or whether you want to be against Kant. You can argue that these other theories are less successful, less useful, or more useful and more successful. So, for example, one thing you can do is talk about situation ethics in your essay and also about utilitarianism, all of this on top of Kant. And your main thesis can be that Kant is better than those two theories, that his ethical approach is more compelling. Or you can argue that these two ethical theories are more successful than Kantian ethics. Or you can take a kind of middle view. And you can say, well, Kantian ethics is better than situation ethics. It's more helpful. But at the end of the day, utilitarianism is the best of all ethical theories. So Kant isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. So you can do that as well. Now, in terms of being more specific about how to structure the essay, again, the recommendation is 3 paragraphs. Right? Oh, by the way, I wouldn't recommend going above 2 more ethical theories, I would say. 1 at the minimum, 2 ideally, but no more than 3. No more than 2, sorry. No, 3 is too much, you won't have time. So, again, in terms of the structure, my recommendation is 3 paragraphs, 2 at the very least, but 3 is what you should aim for. The first paragraph can focus exclusively on Kantian ethics, right? And then the second and third can focus on 2 other theories. Again, suppose situation ethics and utilitarianism. But it's very important that in those 2 paragraphs that come after the first, you don't only talk about the other theory. So in your situation ethics paragraph, you don't only talk about situation ethics. You also have to compare and contrast it to Kant and say whether it's better or worse. Because if you only talk about situation ethics and don't even mention Kant in that paragraph, then the examiner is going to be like, well, that's off topic. Right? But if you talk about situation ethics, explain what it's all about, and then evaluate it with respect to Kant, then that looks very good. And then you can do the same thing with utilitarianism or with natural law. And if you do all this, if you're capable of understanding Kantian ethics, right? If you are capable of comparing and contrasting it to other theories, and if you're able to evaluate it with respect to those theories, then nothing should go wrong, really. I started out by saying that Kantian ethics is, the most complex of the 4 theories, but hopefully, as you've seen, it's not insurmountable. It's fairly easy to understand, at least, to the extent that you're expected to understand it at your stage. So if you do all of these things that I've said, it shouldn't be that difficult, right? Just follow the structure, bring in Kant, explain other theories, compare and contrast, evaluate, and you're fine. Thank you.